Hello and welcome to the Renegade Economist Christmas special. Here we are, full of good cheer. Mr. Max Keiser's here, ladies and gentlemen. Here he is. And as you can see, we're in the festive spirit.
Maria, how do you solve a problem? Da-da-da.
Come on!
Da-da-da-da-da.
This is it. Yeah!
Da-da-da-da-da.
This is Christmas.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
On the cusp of a massive global recession, depression, and mushroom soup of an economy. Cap and trade, what's your view on it?
Well, it's interesting. Cap and trade versus climate debt. Climate debt is a big concept to come out of the COP15, as it's called.
Yeah.
And the politicians hate the idea of climate debt because that sounds like they're actually going to have to fork over some money.
Yeah.
Whereas carbon trading is more climate equity. Right. And they love that idea because, of course, it means more commission flow and bonuses for Wall Street and the City of London. So, but they use the same metrics. So the metrics that are being put forth to justify climate debt are being discredited as not really worth paying close attention to. But then they use the exact same metrics to say, oh, but let's institute carbon trading. So they have this schizophrenia in the minds of the politicians and bankers, which of course is, it's part of the whole system we've seen in the last few years, especially in the credit crunch, as it has really created devastation. There's this huge split in the way people think. For some reason, making bonuses on Wall Street is socially good. As Lord Blankfein said, Goldman Sachs is doing God's work.
Of course it is.
You see, so you have it's a psychosis.
Yes, and doing God's work, and we should all tolerate inequality to achieve greater prosperity for everyone, shouldn't we?
Yeah,
trickle down economics, Max. It's simple stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, as you hit peak everything, peak credit, peak water, peak resources. Now, the underlying sociopathology that operates in the minds of the world's bankers is becoming more evident.
Yes.
And thus, we see more social unrest, according to The Economist magazine, which is this week trying to predict which country will have the next outbreak of social unrest.
Manning the barricades, they did a study on it. And where do you think, if you were a betting man, I know you're not. France?
Well, I think that
the French go out quite easily.
My hope is actually the UK, because social unrest in the UK usually spells great music. I remember the early Thatcher years; it gave rise to the Pistols, the Sex Pistols.
So look, X Factor for number one or Rage Against the Machine.
Rage!
Nice.
You know, we want rage, of course. So I'm hoping the UK really gets, and I think that they will. I mean, they're certainly mentioned as one of the top candidates for economic collapse and social unrest, and I'm looking forward to it because the boy band era and the feel-good naughties and kind of the benign bling of these years is over now, and we're heading into some serious social unrest.
Obama, iron fist in a velvet glove. Because did you know what you were getting with Bush? Because there was no apology there. But do you think he's iron fist in a velvet glove, Obama?
Yeah, Obama is a big disappointment. I mean, it's the only way you can say it. I mean, he's a total tool of Wall Street.
Nobel Peace Prize winner.
He should have. The Nobel Prize Committee, I think or thought that maybe they could somehow get a date with Scarlett Johansson by giving this bling-dominated kind of celebrity. Obama's a celebrity.
Yeah.
He's not a politician. He's a celebrity, and his stint in the White House is a way for him to get into the investment banking business. He's not a representative. It's not representational. Democracy. It's just and George Bush and these others have demonstrated that the White House, and Tony Blair, I mean, he used number 10 to get to J.P. Morgan.
Yes,
he's a highly paid consultant for J.P. Morgan. His number 10 Downing Street years were merely a way to get a high-paying job in the city. And now we're finding out that he committed and was part of some extraordinarily duplicitous behavior, to put it mildly, in regards to the Iraq war.
Exodus.
Is this supposed to be a touchy, feel-good Christmas special?
V-shaped, W-shaped, or Y-shaped recovery, my friend.
Deflation.
Global.
It's any bounce in any of these economies is the result of artificial money creation. It's not economic growth.
Yeah.
It's just it's hedge funds are able to trade around the stimulus packages, but there's no underlying economic growth. Unemployment is still rising all over the world. I mean, even in the way they massage the numbers in this country, they'll say, well, the rate of job loss last month or last quarter was maybe not as great as it has been, but they're not, of course, including the number of people that are not part-time workers and that wage wages themselves are deteriorating. The amount of money that's going into people's pockets, and without money in people's pockets, there are no savings. And without savings, there's no capital. And without capital, there's no capitalism. And without free market capitalism, there's no modern notion of democracy. People have to divide themselves into some kind of groups and have a group identity. And the group identity that I encourage people to think of themselves are in terms of savers versus speculators.
Right.
So if you're a speculator, your interests is cheap money, because you're trying to borrow as much money as possible, and to coerce the political system to bail you out every time you make a mistake. Now, if you're a saver, you want interest rates to be higher, you want wage growth, and you want the political class to demand from the banking system higher rates of reserve requirements. And you also want these various countries to consider backing their currency with some gold, as we're seeing now in the Middle East and in other regions. And so those are the savers versus speculators. And speculators, borrowers and speculators, are really the enemy of the social cohesion that people desire to have productive and meaningful lives.
Yes.
These people need to be allowed for their wages to rise, maybe not as fast as inflation, as some suggest, but their wages should rise as fast as the money supply growth. They should target wage with money supply growth. If money supply growth is up 15% year on year, then the workers at British Air should be arguing that their wages should be up 15% to maintain their purchasing power. So it's the leadership in the unions that need to, they're sincere. I believe that they're sincere. But I believe that their way of thinking is outmoded, and they're not taking on the full economic picture. And I argued this in front of a bunch of cops during a film I made here, or bobbies, as you might say. And you know, it's not a concept they were unable to grasp. Within 20 seconds, they were like, you know what, that makes a lot of sense. And it totally changed the way that they were thinking about their problem. They now were suddenly on the offensive instead of on the back foot trying to scrape for a few more quid. You know, they're saying, you know what, we need to take a structural look at this.
That pretty much concludes the Renegade Economist Christmas special, which is a mouthful. Have you had fun?
I just want to say, Ross, that your show is the only show over the past few months, is the one that I never miss.
Never.
I always, you can ask Stacy about this. We rearrange our schedule to make sure we watch this show.
Yeah.
And I think it's made me a better person.
Do you think that in a holistic way, or do you think that you're just eating a better diet because of us?
I think it's just given me an appreciation of really why economics is more than just something to give over to the professionals to talk about. It has real meaning to everyone's lives. They should educate themselves, even just a little bit, to give themselves the proper firepower to take on the monopolists and the copyright cartel in the next year, because social unrest is coming to you.
You'll be in it, I'll tell you. My last question. Would you, at the moment, Christmas 2009, rather be Barack Obama or Tiger Woods?
Well, let me ask you this. Do I get to be Tiger Woods for the past 5 years?
No. Yeah. Well, ooh, yeah.
Well, you know, I guess...
you get to be both of them for the last 5 years. And for the next 5 years. You've got a decade in the life of Barack Obama or Tiger Woods, and we're right in the middle of it. Who are you going for?
Well, yeah, I guess I see Stacy's actually looking at me from off camera. I've always wanted to be president of the United States.
I think you'd be a good president.
Yes, I of course, I would want to be Barack Obama. That's it, yeah.
Barack Obama,
yeah.
And if you are president, do you need like a little media monkey? You know, just can do the showy stuff. No.
That would make you Federal Reserve Chairman.
I'd do
Ben Bernanke got Person of the Year award.
Yeah, but that's a poison chalice. As soon as somebody's on the front of Time magazine.
Yep. That's usually a bad sign. So again, that suggests ugliness going forward.
I'd do the Volcker thing.
The big cigar. Well, Volcker was the last true Federal Reserve independent chairman, and
Bernanke couldn't smoke a cigar, could he? He's not up to it.
Not like his beard would go on fire. You know, it wouldn't work for him. No. I think that's why he lost a lot of his hair, actually. He tried smoking cigars, and it permanently destroyed the follicle-forming abilities on the top of his skull.
Pater, Max Keiser, it's
Yeah.
always a pleasure. Thank you very much
Thanks.
for coming in.
All right.
It's
See you again
when you're
next
back
year,
in-
same
yeah,
time.
we'll do the Christmas special this time next year. We'll have new hats and a big reindeer. Thanks for joining us for this year. This is the Christmas special. From all of us here at the Renegade Economist, have a fantastic year, 2010, but more importantly, enjoy Christmas with your families. Speak soon, bye.